So I'm just not sure if this worked as a finale, a satisfying finale episode for the series. I'm just not sure. Let's talk about it after the scroll. Bonjour. So I'm going to get right into why I'm just not. I just wasn't blown away by this episode. I don't know if I was expecting someone to die. I don't know if I was expecting Joel to make the ultimate sacrifice or them to dissect Ellie. I don't know what I was expecting, but the kind of Rambo ending to it, I don't think was satisfactorily built up enough. Both main characters have had two great arcs, and you kind of did get to the end of this arc in the beginning of this episode. And I must admit, the opening scene, Ellie's birthday, and how her immunity come about, I thought was spot on. And all of this is done superbly. All of it's done the chase scene where all you're hearing is the clicker, and all those traditional horror elements that we haven't really seen in any of this show, but that's fine. That's fine. You know, it didn't want to go, apart from the first episode or so, didn't really go down the traditional horror zombie genre route. So that's fine. That isn't a downside for me because they've done a spectacular job. And it was rewarding to see the payoff for this relationship. You know, the journey, literal, as well as metaphorical, they've been on. And yeah, they're forming this. You know, they're coming to the end of the line. So that was a nice build up to this episode. That was a nice build up. And I've got to admit, where it was all relaxed, and you know what it's like in these shows, when everything's relaxed and everyone's smiling and having a good time, you know something bad's about to happen. That's what they do to us, and that's what we love. And yeah, something bad does happen, and they're caught by the Fireflies. Okay. Now, all I'm going to say is, this was all delivered really well. All the acting is top notch. The action scenes top notch. Even the scene at the beginning where Marlene has to kill Ellie's mum, and you just see the light in the darkness. You just see the muzzle flash go. You know, cover the baby's ears and all that. That was so nicely done. It really was, and everything has been excellently executed in this show. But I have found myself strangely unsatisfied by the ending to this. I had a feeling they'd leave it open-ended because obviously they've already told us they're doing a series 2. Well, that's kind of fine. But so I should be happy that they both survived, and I am. But this seemed to, although they done this Rambo ending, like this, you know, Joel just goes mad, and this is the promise of, you know, Joel unleashed the promise of what they've, you know, been banging on about for 9 episodes or 8 episodes up until this one. But when Marlene, when Joel wakes up, and I think this is what it is. Now I'm kind of trying to work through it of why it's unsatisfactory is because up until this point, everything's been pretty tight as far as for me anyway, as far as plot and characterisation has been concerned. Apart from Kathleen, I just didn't buy into that. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry. I know some of you out there liked her, and you know, good addition to the game, the characters and all that. Not for me. Sorry, not for me. Never would have happened in a million years after an apocalypse. We get to the last episode. Why? Marlene has known, from the first episode, the Firefly leader, has known Joel for a number of years. Knows what he is, used him to the best of his abilities when she was in trouble to take Ellie on the mission. You know, I'm keeping it to the bare bones. Fine. When he wakes up in this episode and she's taken him to the same place as Ellie, then tells Joel the truth about what they're going to do to Ellie. I mean, fair enough. Marlene probably doesn't know about the relationship they had developed. But nevertheless, if she hasn't known about the relationship they developed, why not let him go and see her? If she thinks Ellie doesn't mean anything to him, then there's no resonance to this scene, because she's kind of she's wary of Joel and how he might react, but then, you know, she doesn't know. The balance isn't there. You're either spilling your guts telling him the plan of what they're going to do to Ellie's brain, which effectively kills her, or you hide it from him because you know what he's like. You know what the man's like, but you've brought him to the same place. You know there's a lot at stake with this little girl. You're prepared to do brain surgery on her and kill her, but you're prepared to let Joel go without tying him up. And you've taken him to the same place. And the more this scene unravelled, I think this is what was taking me out of it. And I think the fundamentals of that scene for me, I think it just took me right out of it all. And then when the Rambo bit comes along, and that was all very, very nicely. It was great seeing Joel unleashed. Don't get me wrong. Of course, you know, that. But, you know, just taken to the same place, two guards down. He goes back and murders about 30 of them. But he only has 2 wimps taking him out. They didn't tie him up. They didn't do anything. Then obviously Marlene's disappeared, and you know she's going to turn up at the end. And then he just shoots her, and he's taken Ellie, and that's about it. I kind of get the impact of him having to make this decision. You know, she could save the human race, but no, I want her for me. You know, selfish reasons, and then he lies to her, swears to her at the end of the episode. Perhaps it's just me, but I just didn't find it. I didn't find it powerful at all. I don't think they hammered home. I just don't think they hammered it home enough. It just seemed to be bang, 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 done, we're gone, we're back to Tommy's. And I think it was my old mate Spaces that did say it's going to be rushed. And I think he was right. They've gone 110 miles an hour through this episode, which, if this was an action set piece episode, brilliant. You know, because some of these slower paced episodes were slow. It's like they don't know what gear. Maybe in this overall summary, and maybe on repeat viewing, which I am going to do through this whole series. And I'm not saying before everyone comes at me, I'm not saying this spoiled the series for me or anything, but I've just got this nagging suspicion that this just worked really well in the game. But there's just something about it I've found, like, I don't know. Perhaps, I don't know. Because, don't get me wrong, Joel's been through enough to protect the girl. So, yeah, I don't know what's fallen flat, to be fair. I mean, if anyone wants to come at me with their opinion and why they think it may have felt flat for them, or I might be completely off on a different tangent to everyone else, and everyone's loved it and thought this was the finest episode of TV, of genre TV they've ever seen, which I know a lot of gamers are going to say, because they just seem to be crazy for this. But fair play, if they followed the game and respected it, then that's a good thing. But as a non-gamer who didn't get any satisfaction from playing the last chapter or whatever of the game and rescuing Ellie, that's it. All this was in the game. I don't know what they was expecting an audience to feel. We already know, we already know how much Joel is prepared to do for Ellie. We've seen that in numerous episodes. So him having a higher body count in this episode, I don't know. I don't know whether or not, or whether, somehow they could have both, that episode where, I think it was last week, where they both kind of fought their way to each other. I thought that was such a more impactful ending to that episode, that reunion, where they found each other again. They think they've lost each other, and in this episode, I don't know, it just doesn't seem to have that power. I don't know. It's a big decision for Joel to have made. The stakes are high. Save the human race or one girl. And there's a lot of interesting things to say about that. But yeah, just found it a little bit flat. Not completely unsatisfying, but just not wholesomely satisfying, perhaps. And I will leave it there, because I'm going to do a series summary. So perhaps I can perhaps in the totality of everything, there might be things that I've commented on week by week, as it's kind of come at me, that rewatching it and maybe reassessing it as a complete body of work, it's called to mind, so we can change it. So I may well do. But until then, if you followed it all the way through, please give me a little like, and even a little comment if you enjoyed it, because all this stuff feeds into the YouTube algorithm, and all the little minnows like myself at the bottom. YouTube don't do us any favours. We need you guys to kind of, do us the honour of liking and subscribing, and if you want to, and commenting, because otherwise YouTube doesn't do anything for us. So I will leave it at that, and until next time, adios.